to the UIAAA Connection podcast. GoFan and VNN are proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the UIAAA Connection. Now a combined company, GoFan and VNN provide a seamless integration for digital ticketing and athletic websites. Direct your fans to one place for all your athletic events, communications, and tickets to home and away games. Thank you to GoFan and VNN for their exclusive sponsorship of the UIAAA Connection.
Welcome back to another edition of the UIAAA Connection. I'm your host, Mark Hutch Hunter. Today we have as our special guest, Kevin Grooms, Certified Athletic Administrator, the District Director of Athletics at Bibb County in Macon, Georgia. Welcome to the podcast, Kevin.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for letting me be a part of a great podcast that I've listened to for years.
Perfect. Let's have you begin by sharing with our international audience where you grew up, where you went to school, your first job, etc.
Oh man, I'm originally from a place in Georgia, Southwest Georgia, called Thomasville, Georgia. Thomasville is southwest of Macon. It's about 3 hours from Macon, Georgia. It's right there on the border of Georgia and Florida. So I'm close to, have you ever heard of Tallahassee, Florida? I'm about 30 minutes from Tallahassee, Florida. Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes from Tallahassee, Florida. Guys that have went on to play pro ball. I know a name that will be very familiar to you will be Charlie Ward. Ward, he's from Thomasville, Georgia. A guy, Mike McIntyre, played for the San Francisco 49ers. He's from Thomasville, Georgia. Eric Curry. I can go on with a list of names of athletes. William Andrews, that played for the Atlanta Falcons. He's from Thomasville. So I can go on with a list of names.
A bunch of them.
That have played. Yes, sir. That have played sports. That is from Thomasville. That have played sports in Thomasville. Okay, so that's pretty much where I grew up at. Sir?
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, continue. I was just going to ask, Thomasville, if you go the other way, how far from the Gulf Coast, from Biloxi, Mississippi, the other way?
Oh, wow. We're probably about 4 hours from Biloxi.
Oh, okay. All right. Not as close as I thought. Continue on. Continue on in your youth story. Tell us where you came from.
But in Thomasville, I played football, basketball, and I ran track. I stopped playing football after my freshman year. My mom wanted me to focus on one sport. Wasn't doing very well in playing multiple sports and in school and doing schoolwork. So she said that I need to focus on one sport. So I focused on basketball. Basketball was my thing. So I played basketball in high school. I was a 3-year letterman in high school and was able to earn a chance to play ball at Morris Brown College. But with me going to play ball at Morris Brown College, I didn't actually really play. So that's a whole nother story.
Okay. And where was your first job out of college?
My first job out of college was in Clayton County. I was an elementary PE teacher at Clayton County. I went to Fort Valley State University. Finished up my degree at Fort Valley after I transferred from Morris Brown. But I finished up my degree at Fort Valley State University in health and physical education. And I went on to get a job in Clayton County at an elementary school in Clayton County, I worked there for 1 year. I got rifted. I was the last one hired, so I was the first one that was let go. So I moved on, and I actually started at the middle school that was across the street from the elementary school.
And from there, then where did you go?
So I worked at the middle school, and I coached football, basketball, and track. But once I worked there for maybe 4 or 5 years, and then I left and I went to another school district, which is called Atlanta Public School District, and I worked there for 2 or 3 years. I was interested in trying to be a head boys basketball coach on the high school level. I had did some JV coaching at different high schools, and ninth grade coaching at different high schools in Clayton and in Atlanta Public Schools. But then when I was searching for that head high school job, and that's when a friend of mine told me that Macon is a bed for young coaches, and the district AD at the time, she loved to bring in young coaches and promote them to be head boys basketball coaches or head coaches in general.
Okay, and so then, so you've been in that district ever since, or did you move schools once you got there?
When I got there, matter of fact, I just finished my 16th year in Bibb. But when I got there, I was actually supposed to take a job at one of the other high schools, but that didn't pan out. So what I wound up doing was working at one of the schools called Central High School. I worked there for 2 years, and then I finally landed my head job at Northeast High School. And I was at Northeast High School. I was the head boys basketball coach, and later on, I became the athletic director there. And I stayed there at Northeast until I became the district athletic director for Bibb County School District.
And how long have you been the district AD?
I have been the district AD at Bibb County for 3 years.
3 years, excellent. All right, so you've talked a lot about your sports background. Let's have you talk for a minute, Kevin, about the mentors in your life that have made a difference growing up.
One of my biggest mentors is Ron Wilson. I did my student teaching up under Ron Wilson. He has been very instrumental in everything that I've done, or as a sounding board, a person that if I needed to just talk to and run things by, he's been that person, as well as Jasper Jewell. He's the former district AD in Atlanta Public Schools. He just recently retired. He is another asset that I as a mentor. Just definitely inspired me in so many different ways and have helped me accomplish a lot of my goals. In being an athletic director, you have to have an open mindset, and both of those two have taught me to be open to different things dealing with athletic administration.
Excellent. Talk about some of the legends in Georgia, at least the legends that I know in the athletic director. A couple of my guests, KP Mitchell's been on my podcast. Carter Wilson's been on the podcast. I haven't had Lucia on, but I knew Lucia way back when I first got involved. So talk about some of those Georgia legends.
Man, Carter Wilson is now, he's becoming my new mentor. He don't know it yet. He don't know it, but he's becoming my new mentor. I have gained so much knowledge just watching Carter. I just watch him, and I watch how he moves and how he talks to people. And he inspired me in so many different ways. He is just a phone call away. Carter is well known in athletic administration. And he's a vital asset to what we have in Georgia. I'm happy to have him in Georgia and be able to pick up the phone at any point in time and be able to call him and ask him for advice, as well as Candace. Candace is definitely, I'm glad that she's back into this journey. I know she stepped away for a minute. Now she's back. She just took a job. Now she's back in athletic administration. She's definitely another person that, you could on and anytime you need any advice or anything that you need to do with dealing with athletic administration, she is definitely a person that has that knowledge and that wisdom to move you forward to the next level in athletic administration.
Let me ask you this, Kevin, a little bit of a personal question. What's your biggest failure or disappointment in life, and what did you learn from it?
Whoa. Oh man, that's big. I learned my biggest failure would be uh, just trying to accomplish a lot and knowing that uh, I try to do everything on myself. And I would say that would be a failure because I need people to in order to do uh, my given role. And I've been that person where I just concentrate on myself and not bring other people in. But then I learned that later on through my mentors that I cannot be that person to do everything myself, and I have to add in other people to help me out in those aspects of my job.
You've been an AD at the district level for a few years. You've been in different high schools. I want you to talk about the job of AD. Let's take COVID out of it because that messed up everybody. But taking COVID out of it, how has the job changed from when you first became an AD years ago?
Oh man, the job is different. It's very different now. A lot of ADs now are moving to just permanent ADs. They're not in the classroom anymore. It used to be a job of the football coach, especially in Georgia. The football coach normally was the athletic director, but the role is changing. It's changing towards more of the administration part. You're seeing assistant principals being ADs. You're seeing uh, 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 non-football coaches being ADs, which is making a turn in athletic administration, which is good. Which is good because that's not the only focus. And I want people to understand that whenever you become an athletic administrator, it's about the total program of your department. It's not
Sure.
about one particular sport. It's about the program of your department. So I need people to really understand and home in on that and really focus on that aspect of it.
Excellent. Talk about how tough it is in Georgia and anywhere in the U.S. to become a successful AD. Obviously, it's you've been to, like I said earlier, some different schools, but being a successful AD in Georgia, that's a tough road to go. So talk about how tough that is to become a success like you have been.
Um, I would say success. It's a lot of different things that you could say about success. You know, I've been fortunate. I would say that I've been fortunate and I've had opportunities, and with that, I made the best out of my opportunities. In Georgia, it's very hard because there's so many people that are good district ADs and school level ADs in Georgia. There's a lot of good ones, and what I can say is, what I can say is, we work together. I believe in togetherness. I believe in collaboration. So it's not just about Kevin Grooms. It's about Kevin Grooms and like a Kelly Hutchinson and like a Corey Collier and like a Don Baker. We all collaborate together. It's a collaboration. Uh, and I think that what helps us out on our success because we're able to collaborate together and make each other successful, meaning that we're able to understand our ups and our downs and know our downfalls within the job, but we're able to communicate to each other and lean on each other as well as your mentors. Our mentors are very vital in this role of being an athletic administrator. And if you don't have mentors, you got to find your mentor, somebody to always bounce ideas off of, somebody to always be that sounding board for you. And us in Georgia, we are sounding boards for each other and we help each other out.
That is so well said, and that's you'll have to give me a break here. I failed to mention two other Georgians that we've had on the podcast. One of them, Kelly, you already mentioned, and I've had Makia on the podcast. I assume you know both of them also.
Yes, sir. Makia Troy is great. Yeah. Kelly is great. Both of them.
So you're actually, I think, probably the fifth person from Georgia we've had on the podcast. So thank you again for that. George has been well represented on the podcast. And of course, I've got so many friends in Georgia over the years. So just wanted to thank you again for that. Talk about for a minute. So you first got into education. How did you find out about the Georgia Athletic Directors Association? How did you become involved in that? And then from there, how did you become involved in the NIAAA?
Oh man, great question. When I became a school level athletic director, being in sports for so long, people just think that you are born for that type of thing, like you just know exactly what you're doing. But then when I actually interviewed for the job and actually got the job at Northeast High School, and I was like, hold up, this is a whole different world. I thought I was ready, but I don't think I was really ready. So like I said, I contacted Jasper Jewell. He's been my mentor. He's been a person that I looked up to for over 20 years. I called him and I said, hey, this is what I'm facing. What do I need to do? He told me exactly. He said, drop what you're doing right now. I need you to join GADA, which is the Georgia Athletic Directors Association, and I need you to join NIAAA. And that's been my path. When I tell you I went to my first conference that spring and I was blown away by the different things that were going on at conference. And I was the type of person where I thought I knew things and knew that I was doing things the right way. But when I went to conference, it made me feel very small. And I've never been a person that feels small in a room. I'm a person, when I walk in the room, I feel like I understand the room and I know the room. But at that particular time, I didn't know the room. And I felt real small in that room. People started talking about handbooks. People started talking about EAP. Like they was talking so much information over my head that I wasn't even aware of the things that I'm aware of now. So in that room, I felt real small, and I didn't want to ask a question. I didn't want people to know that I didn't know what I was doing. So what I did at that point in time, I became a sponge in that room. So in that room, I became a sponge, and I started actually really homing in and talking to different people about the different things that they're doing at their school, so I can make improvements at my school. So with me being a sponge, I came back to my. I was a sponge all weekend. I was meeting people, conversing with people. So when I made it back to my high school, I went straight to my principal. And my principal, at the time, he's an athletic principal. And I went to him, I said, this is what I need you to do. I need you to come to my next meeting. I need you to join this organization. I need you to be a part of it. It's so many tools that we're missing. It's so many things that we need to be changing here at Northeast High School. And I really need you to be a part of it. I really need you to trust the process like you tell us, and I need you to be a part of it. And he did that. He trusted my process. He joined the NIAAA, and I meant the NIAAA and GADA. And I remember when he finally came to his first conference, he asked the question. He asked all of us ADs. He said, well, if you all wasn't getting this training, how would y'all know what to do as an athletic administrator? And we all said we wouldn't know. That's where we get the training. So, being a jobs that back in the days where jobs was just given to people, now it became more of a job where you actually have to really know what you're doing and get certified through the NIAAA, through GADA, in order to be a successful athletic administrator. Then move on into the role of NIAAA. Like I'm heavily now involved in NIAAA. I am part of the national faculty,
right?
Which we're actually right now.
Which is where we met. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm part of the national faculty. Right now we're in the process of revamping 618 and 621, making it one class. So that's going to be great that we're doing that. But the NIAAA has challenged me to do so many different things and great things. They're great things that we're doing, especially dealing with Rich Barton. Rich Barton is another guy that he don't know that he's my mentor, but he is my mentor. He's like a Carter to
Utah. Rich Barton's a homegrown Utah man.
Yes, he is. And he is one that has challenged me. Like he's challenging me with so many different things. And like I don't even question him no more. I just be like, okay, I do it, Rich. Because I know it's a method to what he's asking me to do. So he has definitely been an inspiration to me in this journey on with the NIAAA, and challenging me in different roles that I can play in being a part of NIAAA and GADA.
That is excellent. Share your observations about, well, when I say the recent conference in Orlando, by the time this airs, it will have been 6 months ago, but that's the most recent NIAAA conference, the second biggest conference ever after Nashville the year before. So just share some observations about that conference, about who you saw, just about how it went when you were teaching, etc.
To be honest with you, I don't think I've seen too many people because I was working.
Yeah.
When I tell you, they had me, I taught 2 classes, 618 and 620, which was great. Like, I'm not saying it's not great, but and then me and Kelly, we did a workshop there with a collaboration that we did with our districts. We did a collaboration and we shared the framework and everything out there with everybody in our workshop. So I was so busy at the conference, as well as I was doing recordings for the conference as well. But the conference is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing because you get an opportunity to meet so many different people that are doing so many great things. Just listening into my school level ADs and talking to them and listening to the things that they've said, like the people that they met, like dealing with, like, for instance, one of the school level ADs in Hawaii, just knowing how do you do your operation and your day-to-day operation dealing with athletics, and having to, they don't use buses, they have to fly to different to locations in order to play or participate in athletic events. Like, so I'm blown away right now because I'm trying to figure out, like, if I actually had to do that as a school level AD, you talking about planning, we gotta get on a plane, like, we got to figure out, are we coming back, or hotel registration? Like, it's so much that you have to figure out, dealing with that type of aspect versus me dealing in Georgia. I'm just worried about transportation on the bus, just getting on the bus and going to my next venue. They actually have to really do some type of planning. It takes a lot of planning in that. So to meet people from different places and to know what they're doing, just dealing with somebody from Maine or New York, it's snowing. They got hockey. I don't have hockey. So just knowing what they're doing in their different events is mind-blowing. And you want to meet people to bounce ideas off of them to see what they're doing. But what I notice is everybody is experiencing the same thing. Just because we're in different states, we still have the same problems. It's still the same problems. So it's no matter where you're going, we still facing the same thing dealing with athletic administration. Everybody is still facing unsportsmanlike, dealing with fans. We're facing trying to get our student athletes, for our girl numbers up in our participation. We're dealing with the same different things. It's the same thing. It's just different states that we're dealing with.
Sure, that is some great insight. I want to delve into a little bit more, talk a little bit more about your role on the national faculty. I want you to share with our listeners a little bit of an insight, because you don't get on the national faculty by chance. Obviously, you've got to spend some time teaching in your state, and then you have to have done an excellent job there to even be considered. So share your journey of how you went from just regular Kevin and now you're on the national faculty, because that's a big deal.
Yes, it is. And I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. Me and Corey Corrier, which is the district athletic director of Atlanta Public Schools, we started teaching locally within our state organization. And we said, well, let's try to take it to the next level. And we did the application, and we were able to get on with the NIAAA and the national faculty, which was great. But we've taught so many classes on the state level and also workshops on the state level to get us prepared for the national level. And you got all those you have to be that person that's out there and actually being a part of what's actually going on within your craft. That's one of the things that we've done in Georgia. Just trying to make sure that we're an asset to anybody that we can be an asset to, and also, you have to work. I tell people always, I'm a worker. He's a worker, so we was able to work our way up the ladder. It wasn't nothing that was given to us. It was work the whole time, and just playing Josh Matthews with Carter, just being a part of it. Now I have been recently instated as the second vice president of the GADA in the state of Georgia. So it's a role that I don't take for granted and I don't take lightly. But it's also a role where you're able to learn from some of the best people in the state and also in the country.
Well, that's excellent, because I think for those who in the audience that are listening, that are thinking about joining the national faculty or have aspirations to get there, I think that's great that you have shared that, because teaching at the national level is just such an enjoyment, because you get to meet so many people from all over the 50 states plus internationally. So thank you so much for sharing that. Kevin, what's the favorite part of your job?
Interacting with the student athletes. I really love that. I really love it. I develop a student athlete advisory committee where we meet quarterly, and I'm able to really reach back in and grab those student athletes, and I really like that part. I really love my professional development that I do with my staff too as well. That's another part that I just love, just challenging them with different things and just trying to make our district better. I think that we always need to do that, challenge each other. So those are two things that I would say my favorite part of the job, because that's my student athletes is the missing part of me, because I'm not a school level AD no more. So to get out and part of it, for them to know my name, I'm just not the district AD or district person. They know who I am. Each one of my student athletes within the district, and we have a fairly large district where my student athletes know that I am a person that they can contact and be a part of what's going on. Every year at the end of the year, we host what we call, we honor our student athletes, and we call it the Bibb. It's like the ESPYs, but we call it the Bibb, and we do it for our high school athletes. And it has really taken off. We started it last year. This is our second consecutive year doing it, and it has taken off. And if anybody go on my Twitter page and look at the different things that we're doing with the Bibb, it's a great idea to honor your student athletes on the district level.
Thank you for sharing that for our listeners. His Twitter is at Coach Grooms. So check that out. Before we finish up with a couple of questions, I want to either show my mastery or my ignorance of Georgia geography. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are in the process of moving to Perry, Georgia. And if I'm correct, that's 25 miles south of Macon. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
They've just bought a house, and Warner Robins Air Force Base is in the middle or between the two cities, right? And if I remember when I had Kelly on, I think it was Kelly, I think isn't her school district on the interstate where for no reason the freeway just gets crowded and then it gets uncrowded. If I remember right from her podcast, I'm just double checking to see if that's indeed the case. She's north of you then.
Yes, sir. She's about 45 minutes north of me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. So that's, like I say, that's either showing my mastery or my ignorance of the Georgia topography there. Let's finish with a couple of questions, Kevin. The first being, I need 2 suggestions for a brand new AD in order to be successful, and they need to follow Kevin's 2 suggestions to attain that success. What would your 2 suggestions be?
My first one would be a mentor. You cannot do this job without a mentor. You cannot. mentor and read, like book studies. That's one thing that I challenge my ADs with, something that's new to them. So we've been doing book study now this is our third year doing a book study. Find a mentor, read, and study. That's the only way that you're going to be able to move in athletic administration. It's out there. The information is out there. It's all about you homing in and reading it, reading the information and actually really, really taking it in. Our last book that we read last year was The DNA of an AD Athletic Director. And we really learned a lot. It wasn't just about being an AD, but it actually touched base at being who you are as a person. That's what I like most about what I read with the last book study that we just read. So definitely that, mentor and read your book studies.
Perfect. We'll finish with this. Kevin, what question should I have asked you that I failed to ask you?
I think you really talked about a lot of different things. So it's no other questions. Definitely, like I talked about earlier, was the Bibb space. I think that's a great way to highlight your student athletes. Another thing that I've done that's been very successful in my district has been the Aspiring Athletic Directors cohort. I think that's been very successful. We're working in our third class now of aspiring athletic directors, which is good because now it's just like being a principal. Like you have a pool of people that you can pull from, and we've been able to promote within that class. We've been able to promote assistant ADs as well as ADs in our cohort, from our cohort classes. So I think that's definitely been huge, because you never know when you in a rut and you need an AD, and to have some type of knowledge of being part of a cohort, I think that's big, to make sure that we have that within the district.
Perfect. On that note, that wraps it up for this edition of the UIAAA Connection. Again, our special guest today has been Kevin Grooms, the District Director of Athletics at Bibb County in Macon, Georgia, and member of the National Faculty and Certified Athletic Administrator. Kevin, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, we hope you tune in again next week for another edition of the UIAAA Connection.